Hello, my fellow citizens. Paratrooper Goofy Lane here. Just giving you an explanation of the All the Way Amendment petition. I'm a Generation X citizen. My family came here in 1736. My ancestor's name was Osborne Lane. You can look him up, learned about him in U.S. history in middle school. Now, with everything going on today, we're getting into the questions section of the impeachment trial of Donald J. Trump, President Donald John Trump. There's been a lot of talk about oaths. All right, I have sworn to 2 oaths and 1 creed. Oath number 1 is the oath of service, which you've heard about. It's about the Constitution. The second oath that I swore to is the oath of America's Guard of Honor. It is about America's honor. There's a lot of question about that, but I'm here to tell you as a member of America's Guard of Honor that America's honor is its citizens, because without its citizens, there would be no country. And then I swore to the Paratroopers Creed. And what is significant about it with what I'm doing now is that upon completion of service, it tells us that we are to return to society and we are to disperse into society, blend in, however you want to look at it, and wait. Well, what we are waiting on is for it to be put on our hearts, or for the government to do an action to where we have to stand up and defend either the Constitution or the citizens. Upon 5 years or so here recently, my thought about this, I'm getting older. I've had a relapse of the episode that got me out of the military in the beginning. It has to do with my heart sort of questioning about life, would be the easiest way to put it. And I just feel that I need to do this to satisfy the oaths and the creed that I swore to. Now, this will, the All the Way Amendment, I tried to organize it to where it does satisfy. I'm doing this for the Constitution, and I'm doing this for the citizens, and I'm doing it because it was put on my heart to do. That's got all 3 satisfied. What I've noticed in my lifetime is the powers that think they be but are not, because the citizens of this country are the power. But they have, for well over 100 years, they have established a process, I guess you'd say, into deleting out the Constitution of the United States. They are doing this not by the majority of the people, but by one person starting it and it growing. Some examples of that is one person took the prayer to God, the ability to pray to God, out of the schools. One person took the Pledge of Allegiance out of our schools because it had God in it. Me personally, the first time that I experienced it is in high school. My junior English teacher, was having a conversation, class discussion, I made a comment, and she told me that is not politically correct. I told her, good thing I'm not going to be a politician. Now that I think about it, I would rather be constitutionally correct instead of politically correct. Because the Constitution is supposed to be the law of our land. I had to go to federal court to defend my Fourth Amendment right recently, but I quickly realized that there is no avenue for a pro se American citizen to defend himself or to represent himself in federal court for his constitutional rights being violated. What I found when they gave me the pro se packet that everybody should be receiving if you go to federal court and you're going to represent yourself. First of all, I tried to get a lawyer, but here in my hometown, I called every lawyer and told them that I needed a constitutional lawyer, or at least someone who practices constitutional law, and they said they did not have such. And when I asked, well, if you're not practicing the constitutional law, just what law are you practicing? They would hang up on me. That's why I had to go pro se. Now, the Constitution is supposed to be the law of the land. And in that pro se packet, it referred me to two laws that or paths that have been put in place if your civil rights or your equal rights are violated. I looked into it. We've made great strides in the civil rights and the equal rights, respectively. But I looked into it, and I think everybody knows civil rights are for minorities. Equal rights are for women. I have original equipment. It has not changed, or is it going to change while I'm here on this earth? So I can't be a woman. And last time I looked, I don't look like a minority. So I have come up with this all the way amendment. Now, why the 15th and 19th Amendment? Those two amendments are where the civil rights and the equal rights all started. And what the civil rights and equal rights are doing in this country right now, as I experienced in the federal court, is putting a division in this country. Why don't we go ahead and just say all citizens have the same rights, the constitutional rights that were declared, sworn to, and secured in the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. So, in order to do that, if you have for instance, if you have a tree that has a limb that is growing not like you want to, or growing towards your house, let's say, you can go out and trim that limb off the end and it'll keep growing back. But if you go all the way to the bud where the limb comes off of the trunk, and you cut it right there at the branch collar, it'll never come back. If you're wanting to trim your trees all the time, have fun. Me personally, I would rather go ahead and get rid of it so I don't have to deal with it again. Sort of nip it in the bud, so to speak, or cut the head off the snake. Well, the 15th and 19th Amendments are the buds or the heads of the snakes that has caused this division. That's why I chose those two. They were the first laws dealing with what is causing the division today. Now, the two-thirds rule for the petition From my understanding and what I've read in the Constitution, for a law to become a law, 2/3 of the Congress has to agree with it in a vote. And then I believe the president signs off on it. And as long as all that happens, it becomes a law. I think that's called ratification. I think. It's been many, many years since I studied our United States government. Now, another way that can be done, from my understanding from years past, is 2/3 of the legislatures of the states. In other words, 2/3 of the states agree. Then that is a way that it should bypass Congress having to agree, because the states themselves have agreed. And if the president agrees with it, signs it, it should become law. Now, 2/3. The reason why 2/3 was put into the Constitution is because if you get 2/3 of an opinion, if you get 2/3 of the amount of people voting for it, that's considered a landslide. So you need a landslide in Congress, and you need a landslide with the states. All I'm proposing to bring in is a landslide of the people. 2/3 of the current census citizenship population. Now, in order to get to that, I guess we're going to have to wait till 2020 census is done so we can find out how many citizens are in here. But change.org, you have to get 100,000 signatures in 90 days. So let's get that done, and then we can find out what we need to get done later. But we can keep signing as we go, and maybe by the time the 2020 census results are in, we will have enough citizens to get this done. That's all I have for you today. I thank you for your time, and I hope you have a day full of wonder. And let's take the rights of the citizens of this country all the way equality for the future generations. I don't want the generations after me to have to live through what I lived through in my lifetime, as far as my rights being raped away from me. But this is the way to ensure the rights that we were supposed to have, that's supposed to be guaranteed to us as citizens of this country, are secured for the future generations. Have a day full of wonder, and let's take it all the way.